Hello, travel biz owner. Welcome to my corner of the travel industry, the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur Podcast. If you're ready to have fun, be inspired, get clarity, and take action in your travel business, then you're in the right place. Let's jump in. Welcome, everyone. This is a very extra special episode. You know that sometimes I do have guest speakers with me. Well, today we have a whole panel on the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur Podcast. If you're new around here, my name is Rita M. Perez. I am your host. And right around the corner, if you are listening to this on this Friday, is Social Media Day. And I know social media is kind of like the bane of many of our existences in marketing, but there's also many of us that love doing things on social media. So I thought I've had like this brainchild of having a panel with some of the amazing women that do a lot of marketing in the industry to come on and chat. And so there is a plethora of experience that is going to be here on today's panel. So we're going to talk a lot about some of the trends that are happening, some of the things that like really get under our skin, and we want you to kind of like see the light and get a little bit more confidence, because that's really all that this podcast is about to make you a stronger business owner. And part of that is marketing. So without further ado, let's go in. Wendy, you're the first one that I see. So I'm gonna have you do a quick intro. Then we'll go Kyla, Kelly, and Crystal. Wow, I didn't plan that. 3Ks there. So we'll go in that order. Quick intro before we start talking social trends.
Hi, I'm Wendy from Red Grape Social. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on here with you today. I basically look after digital marketing for travel agents exclusively. I've been in the industry for over 20 years, working in sales and marketing, and I do done for you and coaching.
Ooh, and where can people find you at?
Red Grape Social is my handle for everything, everywhere. I am based in Australia. I am British, as you can tell from the accent. I am truly international, but Red Grape Social will find me everywhere.
Awesome. Let's move on to Kyla.
Hi, I'm Kyla with the Social Passport. I'm a former advisor turned social media coach for advisors, and I really truly just love the industry. Thank you so much for having me on this podcast. And the best place to find me is the Social Passport across all platforms, or my Facebook group for advisors, the Social Passport Lounge.
Oop, awesome. Let's move over to Kelly.
Hey y'all. So I started as an advisor in 2014. In 2020, decided that I liked marketing the industry better than I liked selling travel, and moved full time in that. I have worked as a director of marketing for a travel agent education company, and am now a marketing manager for a host agency, Legato Host Agency. And I also host, sorry, words are hard, host the Social Takeoff podcast, which has been in hiatus while we move, but that'll be back in July when we're back in our new house. But all the things, yeah. And you can find me also Instagram's where I hang out, but across all platforms, and it's at Kelly Hayes Smith.
Awesome. Let's get your take here, Crystal.
Hey everyone, I am Crystal Straub and I am a content strategist for travel agents. You can find me over on Instagram, Crystal_Straub, but definitely check the show notes because I spell my name differently. I'm so excited to be here, excited to learn from all these lovely ladies. I've been in the travel industry, like I said, since 2010, and after lots of pivots, am finally blending my love of content and social media in one to just help travel agents stop blending in and stand out.
Yay. Okay, so let's just dive on in, because I feel like the biggest trend is this yapping trend, which I know Wendy and I had been talking. We're like, yapping, that's just talking head rebranded, which I feel like that's its own like lesson there, that many of us have used the term talking head for many, many years, but it only took off when we started, or not, maybe not when us, but when somebody, I think Jessie Jean is her name, kind of like started yapping and had this really big launch on a yapping course. So, Wendy, can you give us some of your takes on this whole yapping movement that we're having? And what is yapping for people who might not know what it is, what we're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, we did have a good old chat about this one. So Jessie Jean, I think, has blown up with her campaign. So she did a Yap challenge. She launched it, I think within a couple of weeks, she made $1.2 million. So that's why it's absolutely blown up, and everyone's like, how on earth did she do that?
Yeah.
She has also been a marketing expert for about 10 years, which I think she also had to sort of say, yes, look, this isn't brand new. I have been doing this for a long time. Like, I'm not pretending that, I'm the side of all this. But I think the difference between yapping and talking heads is there's a psychology to it. So although it sounds completely authentic and, she just walks into a bathroom and she just has a good old chat and it just sounds like it's completely natural, which is the point. But there's actually a real psychology in how she's created that script. And that, there's call outs, there's call to actions, there's making people be seen. It's giving them like a hook to lead into the next bit. Like the actual breakdown of the yap actually is really, really clever from a psychological perspective, which I think is where people are loving to dissect it because they're pulling all of it apart and going, this is where she does this is where she's done that, this is where she's done that. And that's how she's drawing people in, being so authentic and so normal that people go, I can do that. And I think that's why people have bought into it because she's so authentic that people are like, I can do that. Whereas when people kind of do a talking head that feels a bit more structured or a bit more polished, it feels harder for people to do that themselves. So that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah. And Crystal, I know that you do, is this accurate? Do you do some work with Shannon?
Yeah, so I've worked
Okay.
very closely with Shannon McKinstry. So she has been doing talking head videos since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
She's a master. She's a genius. I love her dearly. So to me, like the content isn't new, but I do love that it is taking off. But I do want to give a sense of relief that, like, listen, you don't, if this isn't for you, you don't have
Mhm.
to do it. There's still
Yeah.
accounts out there that are growing without having to do it.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a great advantage to it to be able to show your face and your voice, which goodness knows, like travel agents, even just to show your face, like start there. Please start there before you start yapping. Um, get comfortable there. This is a great way to show your personality and really build that trust. There's nothing better than that. A graphic isn't going to do what a talking head can do if you can start to master that. And just to give you an idea, one of my members recently started doing talking reels. I think it's about 2 months now, and I had her send me screenshots. So let's say like back in the day, she would just do a lot of carousels, which were beautiful, gorgeous, really nice.
Mhm.
One of those like post average reach was about 1,800. She started to do a talking head or yapping series. Um, and those reels are going crazy. Um, the last one that she sent me had, let's see, 164,000 accounts reached,
Nice.
766 saved, and 611 shared, 22 reposts. So it works once you get the rhythm and once you have a really good concept of what you want to share. Go for it. But I would say work your way up. Don't expect those numbers right away. But definitely give it a shot.
Yeah, does anybody, Kelly or Kyla, since we haven't heard from you on this one, do you have any pointers? Like where Wendy mentioned the psychology behind it, and Crystal's also talking about some of the structure, because I know I've seen there's a travel advisor who is doing these talking head yapping videos, but I know they're reading from a script and there's not like personality injected to it. And I'm like, I just want to like hold your hand a little bit. So if people are like, well, I like talking, but I don't know what I'm supposed to say.
I, so this is exact. So first off, I love what Crystal said because creating the content that works for you is important. Yes, these yapping heads are going crazy, but I personally see the best results in my own content in my carousels, like
Okay.
by a lot.
I love
And
that.
but I love to create the carousels. I will also do the yapping when I have time. And what I've had to do is say, I can create a carousel faster than I can a yapping reel. That's just the way mine works, right? And
Mhm.
so I think part of the thing is you got to let yourself off and be like, these are going crazy right now. And if that works, not just for you and your system, but your life, go for it.
Mhm.
And if it doesn't, there's going to be a time and place for that. Again, I'm moving, right? We are going to a new house. I'm not filming yapping reels in my mom's house because my mother does not understand that me talking to a phone is work. And so, like, she's yelling, and it's just not going to work. when I get back into our own house and we're in our rhythm again, I can do that again. And I have to be okay with that. Like it doesn't have to be done because everybody else is doing it. Sorry, that was a side tangent.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that you have to remember with these yapping reels is it has to look authentic and like you're sitting down with a friend. If
Mhm.
it looks stiff, polished, the lighting is so professional, and you're sitting there and it looks like you're being interviewed, and that makes you feel important, you're in it for vanity metrics, you're not in it for real results, and it's not going to work.
Yeah.
It has to look like you are talking to a friend. If you flub your words, don't always
That's a
edit that.
good thing.
Don't always edit that out. You have to make sure that you have this feeling of friend and you're creating a connection because what yapping is there to do is to build a connection. And if you are putting yourself too polished and you're creating a gap between you and that person, and then there's no point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess say I hate teleprompters with a passion, and you can
Yes.
tell when someone like even like I do coaching and we give them ideas, and I'm like, please just do bullets, like just stick a bullet if you need something
Yes.
to remind yourself. And they're like, oh, but I found this really cool teleprompter. I'm like, no, please don't do it, because suddenly they start talking like this, and this is like my favorite cruise,
And their
and
eyes,
it's horrible. It's
their
the worst
eyes
thing. It
will
drives me nuts.
trail the camera. And I'm like, if it looks fancy, it's not going to work on social media. Like, I don't know how else to say that. Like, if it
Yeah.
looks overproduced, it's not going to work.
Yeah, I was gonna say the bullet point thing because I sound, if I even try,
Oh,
a
me too.
script or anything like that, I'm like, I sound so robotic right now. So I do
Yeah.
the bullet points. That is literally the only thing that works to make me feel real. But the FaceTiming a friend thing is huge. Sometimes if I am filming something, I will FaceTime a friend. If I'm like just not feeling it and I'm like, can someone just sit in with me and like, I just want to talk. And that's why editing exists. So
Yeah.
even if you yap way longer than you need to, all of that can be shortened down. Like it's better. I think when I find something that I'm really passionate about, the yapping just comes out and that feels so much more natural. But everything Kelly said is so real because I feel like when I see a video like that, like a production, my brain almost goes, is that AI? And
Right.
I'm like, wait, that's so weird. And so it's so much better. Like, I love when I see a travel advisor just like getting ready or, they're just in bed and they make a video, and that's kind of like a nice thing to release yourself from of you don't have to get ready. You don't have to put on a production. People just want to see you and hear you.
Yeah, and it does not just have to be about travel that people can talk about nowadays. Okay, everybody's heads are going off because we have about 7 trends here, and I think a lot of them intersect because the next trend is goodbye to the generic. We don't even have to talk about supplier content or deals because we're not never going to promote using those unless there's like a special use case anybody wants to talk about. But like, that generic, the over polished, the fake type of content, like it doesn't matter if you have makeup on or not. It doesn't matter I mean, I've done reels where I gotten out of the shower and I just make sure I have a top on to be like, I just had this brilliant idea in the shower and I have to tell you about it right now. Like it can be so unfiltered because it has that authentic, like I just got on the phone and I need to talk to my best friend, my spouse, my mom, whoever about it right now. So, I know who wants to start talking about chatting on this one.
Yeah, look, I'll start with that one. I love that. And I do love that we're going off topic as well. Like your feed
Yeah.
doesn't have to just be all about travel. People want to know what you do in your own time. They want to see you, cooking a meal with your family, or they want to see you playing with your cute dogs. And, like people want to know who you are because otherwise you're just like everyone else. Because essentially everyone's going to talk about travel. They're all going to talk about the same kind of stuff. But your point of difference is who you are as a person and how you came to be where you're at and what you enjoy and what your opinion is and what your situation is. Like I talked to, my best friend who has a disabled daughter. So travel with her is very different. So
Yes.
for her talking into that is so relatable to every other family who has a child with special needs. Suddenly they're going to connect with her a lot more than someone who's just giving you, the generic, overview of it because she's living it, she's breathing it. So I like that we're coming away from just talking about the one topic all the time and we are becoming real with it.
Yeah,
So
Kelly.
so I actually do coach to stay pretty much on a travel topic, but hear me out. Don't like kick me off the call yet. Hear me out. Because I don't want someone to land on your page and the first two videos not be about what you actually do and then they sign out, right? Here's my difference. Here's what I say. We have to stop thinking that everything about travel has to be set with a video of a beach or a video of the castle or like
Snaps.
there is no reason why your video can't be you straightening up your living room with travel topic over top of it. So I am not saying that these two things don't intersect. I want them to stay semi on topic because sometimes advisors get real confused if you're like, come off of topic and like you can talk about this too. And then we start talking about our Amazon hauls and what we got at Aldi that week. And then the next video is about travel and the next video is about something else. And it can kind of get disjointed. And then you don't have long to connect with people if they land on your profile. But interweave your life with your business because your business is personal. And
Mhm.
so that's kind of how I coach. I'm not saying the other is wrong. That's just what I do is I'm like straighten up your living room and put travel info over top of it. And I don't mean travel info on my best 3 tips for Cancun because that is not what I'm about. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm like about your business while you're doing your normal things and really show up in that way. And I love stories for things that are really about what I'm doing. So
Mhm.
that's my 2 cents on that topic.
Yeah, Crystal.
I'm just like screaming. I love you all so much because I just like that we're all on the same page. So I'm just very excited. Um, on this, while I have travel agents' ears, I think that it's really important to remember that when someone's scrolling Instagram, they're not always ready to drop a deposit on vacation. Do you know what I mean?
100.
Like, yes, it is a selling tool, but it's more of a connection tool. So you have to include those relatable personal pieces of content to bridge that gap because they're not ready right now. But as you're talking about a special, like being a parent of a special needs child or like being a horse lover, a gardener, whatever, as you're putting that into your personal brand, you become, oh my gosh, yeah, that travel agent, she loves horses. I love horses. I'm gonna book
Mhm.
my like whatever. Those weird things that don't seem like they mean anything, they mean everything.
Yeah.
And if you really want to get those conversations going, start putting yourself in your content.
Yeah, because I kind of like marrying what the three of you have said. I also like the specificity, kind of Wendy, you were alluding to that, like with the special needs travel. If you are trying to talk to everybody, you are talking to there's nothing special about your content nowadays. So like if somebody's gonna pull me, they're probably talking about like chronic illness travel or like gluten-free travel. And I'm like, wait a sec. And they're not just talking about gluten-free travel. They just went to an awesome gluten-free cafe in this place that they just visited, or they just got this amazing package of gluten-free goodies. And so just like to give some ideas of like the complexities of who we are as humans and like how you can share that. Kyla, I know that that was something that we were going to touch on too, is like that specific, like show your personality. And like I feel like there's almost like an underconfidence, which is why a lot of people aren't confident going on to social media. So if we can like touch on that and like embracing your weird, but also like what makes you so unique because the right person is going to be like, give me more of that.
Yeah, definitely. I think you said something of like during the yapping, talk of how do we get people to, listen? And that really is the specificity of everything. So, like the hook, the call out, the storytelling, all of that. If someone feels like you're speaking directly to them, they have to stop and they have to listen. But, like you said, if you're talking to everyone, it might not connect with them. And so that's why a lot of times, probably every lady in this room has said something and someone's like, are you listening? Like, you know exactly what my issues are. But that's because we know what your pain points as a travel advisor on social media are. You know the pain points of your ideal audience, your travelers. And so when you talk to them and you say, I know it's hard, finding gluten-free options in this destination, or I know the best gluten-free desks. You are talking directly to them and they're like, whoa, wait, this is for me. And
Yeah.
I think that's the best thing you can do for social media is just get specific on, who you're talking to, what are their pain points, what do they struggle with, and how do you solve that problem for them? And like Crystal said, not everyone is just ready for that vacation, but they are ready for connection. And that's so important. Social media is that slow burn. But the thing that no one can replicate is your experiences. So if you have those, gluten-free experiences, special need accommodation experiences in different destinations, then that's what you have to pull from because that's the thing that's going to get people to stop. TikTok gave us really short attention spans in COVID time.
Yeah.
So we have to bring back calling people out, getting their attention, and hooking them.
Yeah. Kelly.
So I have called this in like as I've taught for a long time, I've called this loud versus clear marketing.
Mm.
And this is what happens. Like you don't get loud and clear. It just doesn't happen because when it's loud, you are screaming from the top of a mountain to all the people. And what happens is I'm gonna tip my toe into the supplier content. They all use loud marketing, all of them,
Mhm.
because they're spending millions and millions of dollars and they just need they're spending all this money and they're casting this wide net and
Yeah.
then they're pulling in as many people as they can, and that's okay with them. But no advisor I've met has Royal Caribbean's budget. I
Right.
haven't met one yet. I'm not saying they don't exist, but nobody that I have met yet has Royal Caribbean's budget. And if you don't use clear marketing, and I always use this is the example I use. If I'm standing in the middle of my kitchen and I scream, "Do the dishes," no one in my family comes running.
Hmm.
But if I stand in my kitchen and scream, "Tim, do the dishes," my husband comes running to do the dishes. I have to call out who I'm speaking to if I want them to do what I want them to do.
Hmm.
And therefore, you have to call them out in that first bit.
I was gonna say, I feel like in all of our content, maybe not in every piece, but in a lot of pieces, if it's not in the visual, it's definitely in the caption where we use travel agents, travel advisors, travel agency owners. So
First
travel
line.
advisors need
Every
to do
time.
the same thing, like moms, gluten-free travelers, moms of parents with special needs, whatever that
It's also
thing
how the
may be.
algorithm does the
Yes.
thing. If
Yeah.
you
Use
have to
that
tell
SEO.
Instagram, exactly. You
Hit
have
the
to
SEO,
tell
guys.
Instagram.
Yeah.
You have to tell them. I don't care if it's repetitive. It is literally filtering my content for the right people. First line of everything you do should include who you're talking to.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, kind of like talking into that next trend that we kind of naturally fit in. Does anybody have like a formula for people? Because I feel if something is happening on vacation, on a trip you're on, like it's so easy to be like, oh my God, da, 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 and like you're word vomiting on a reel. But for those that might not come as easy to, or if that they're at home trying to think of content, is there like a useful or a quick, easy storytelling framework that is going to help advisors to kind of be like, okay, I need to remember ABC in this if I don't remember anything else of my story? Do, do,
I will say I try to work backwards. And so
okay.
I look at the result first. So what was solved? Like, was the vacation completely flipped from the day, that it started? Maybe it was, a little rough or something happened. So what was that end result? What did you feel? Then work backward. How did you get there? What steps did you take? What experience do you have? What did the staff do? And then find that hook because sometimes that's the thing that gets people like tripped up. They're like, I don't know how to, really start this video. But when you think of it backwards like that, of what was the end result? How did we get here? Then that hook kind of flows a little bit more naturally. And so that has been really successful, not only for myself, but for advisors. I think that has just reframed the way that I think about it. And then you can start to move front to back more naturally as you just repeat it over and over. That's the biggest thing is repetition. The more you do it, you find your formula for it, you find what works for you. But I like that work backwards because you're looking at the result first.
Yeah, Crystal.
I love that. And I love that you said like the emotions. I feel like that is really what's missing in a lot of content is like pulling in that emotion because that is really that there's so much emotion when it comes to travel. Like you're anxious, but then you're calm and then you're worried. Like it's a roller coaster, right? So, in terms of like framework, when it comes to like hooks and sharing and things like that, I personally like teach something called the C method, or so it's SEE. So it starts off by, talking to a specific person. Again, we're all on the same page. Love it. And then like sharing it's an experience. So, like, what's happening in this moment? So, you're going to reference a situation that's happening, like at the airport, at the resort, like whatever you're talking about in that topic, a destination, type of trip. And then the last E is the event, or sorry, is the emotion. So, to make them feel something, again, what was that emotion that you felt? What did you overcome before and after type of things? But hopefully that helps a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, because I feel like this is where episodic content kind of like comes in too. There is somebody that she is not a travel advisor, but she has me hooked because she's a pin collector. And so she'll do like different episodes like, can we get all the pins or how much are we going to spend on this pin series? And then I'll also watch a lot of like cruising content where it's like, oh my gosh, is this poop cruise part two? There's been a couple of those types of situations. And they'll be like, well, I guess come in and see what happened on the next day. And you're just like craving. It's kind of like that TV content where you're like, I must know what's happening on the next episode. Anybody seen any good examples or like have any ideas on this episodic content for advisors, Kelly?
When it comes to the episode, first off, I actually did a teaching series on this once and I pulled data and I don't have it off the top of my head, but I can tell you that Netflix found that it was like over 60% higher watch time when they released episodes 1 week at a time rather than a drop of all episodes at once because it continued to keep people's attention. Again, I don't know. I haven't looked at those numbers in a minute, so I don't know exactly what they are. But it was a much higher watch time on episodes that were dropped weekly rather than a drop for a binge, right? Because when you binge the content, you can get bored halfway through or whatever. But when you are left on the hook waiting to see what happens next, you're waiting. People feel like that's harder to do in our industry, right? Because I always start with the first question when I was helping agents I do on socials now, but like when I was literally working in social media management, the first thing I would do is be, what do you do? And their response is always, I plan travel. But no, that's not what you do. What do you do? And I have to pull that out. The other thing
Yes.
that blows their mind is your product is not a vacation. Your product is not a destination. Your product is a service. And we've got to start talking about that. And so you can talk about that. You could talk about an itinerary that you were trying to plan that blew up. It may have happened over a 2 hour period. It can still be 4 weeks of content. Like you don't have to post it all at one time. And that's what I don't think that we are getting the grasp of is like we're trying to get everything out there so quickly because I don't know, afraid somebody else is going to beat us to the punch about something. And well, I need to get off of soapboxes. I'm so sorry. It's so easy for me.
I'm like cheering you on so hard over here. I love it.
But travel agents follow travel agents.
Mhm.
And so they get really concerned because they think that they're posting the same and somebody else has beat them to posting something. Not everybody's following 75 travel agents, so they don't see it.
Right.
Take a chill. Like, and if it's stressing you out, mute them and stop following all the travel agents so that you can stick to your stuff. But this idea that I can create episodes. Well, how do I create episodes? Well, you don't tell it all in one story. That's how we create the episode.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying here.
No, no. Because I was even thinking like, I mean, if you are currently on a trip, a day is an episode. Like that is, it can be as simple as that. Like this is day one episode. Come back tomorrow for day two, or come back to see what this happened.
And contrary to popular belief, you don't have to post it in real time. You don't have to spend your
Boom.
vacation doing it day one,
Boom.
day two, day
Yeah.
three, whatever.
Or you can record it if it's like fresh off and then just hold it. Keep it as a
And
draft.
you can voice memo yourself and write it down. And then you can, if you need to, and you don't have the content to go with it, you can even tell this story while you're folding laundry. It's going to be fine.
Yes. Wendy.
I was going to say this as well. Like, I think we don't have to do in real time. That's absolute gold. And I think that's what people stress about. Like, a lot of my coaching calls are people like, I'm about to go away. Like, I'm trying to pre-plan. How do I script? I'm like, I don't know, because I don't know what you're going to do. Like, let things happen. Like, what are your takeaways? What are you learning? What was fun? What do you go? I'm never going to put a client through that again. Like,
Yeah.
once you know what happened, then you can put it together and then you can do the episodes, you can do whatever. There's also a safety thing in there as well. I'm not always a big fan of people posting that they're away every single
Right.
day, leaving their house open. So there's kind of that whole safety security thing. But yeah, do it after. You don't have to waste your holiday editing and cutting stuff. Like, have the holiday, think about it, work out what you think you would recommend, what you wouldn't do, and then create that content.
Yeah, Crystal.
Yeah, I think that, when talking about the series, again, the client that I mentioned earlier that got like the crazy views for her talking reels, like that is a talking series, and she named it When in Rome. And they're just little bite-sized
Yeah.
tips that she drips out. She recorded a ton of content when she was on her last vacation, and she like again, like I think at least once a week she's doing it. So, and I think the other thing to remember, it doesn't have to be polished, like we talked about earlier, right? And that every part of those series can start the same exact way. You can use the same hook each time.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. Part one,
Yeah.
come back for part two, part three. People don't care. And again, it just creates that, not dopamine, but just like that recognition. Like they
Yeah.
know what to expect. The cover can be the same, the hook can be the same. Don't let that trip you up. The format, everything. Just like copy paste. It's less brain work and just have fun.
Yeah. The Disney pin person, she starts every reel like Disney just brought out its latest pin collection and we're gonna see how much I have to spend to get to there. Every reel she starts with that. Which kind of I love that these are kind of like leading into each other. Trend 4, person first content, faces and not brand graphics. And I wanted to get to you, Kelly, because we were on the same freaking wavelength when Not So Scary Halloween Party came out. And every advisor that we saw was sharing the Disney graphic and not their thoughts on the Disney graphic. And so I feel like we can turn heads and be like, don't use the supplier graphic. This is how you can infuse yourself and your thinking, because that's really what you're selling is how you're thinking, how you feel about this types of trips and how you're putting things mindfully together.
Yes. So, yeah, if you all did not know me before, you'll know me now because I am known for a really good soapbox and I'm hitting on a lot of them today. I'm so sorry. I haven't talked to people that are outside my family in a minute, so maybe that's why I'm on this kick, but here we are. Y'all, every single time Disney drops something, people panic because they think they're going to be the last person to post about it. And Disney's rules are insane when it comes to social media. Okay. Like insane. They are very difficult to follow. They are very difficult to get right. And to be honest, when you ask a Disney exec about them, they don't really know what they say or mean either. And so it's really hard to know if you're doing the right thing. So, but here's one thing I do know. When you use your own words and your own thoughts and your own graphics, you don't have to follow their rules quite as closely as you do when you are using their content and their work. And so the other part of this is what good does it do a client to know what dates are there? I'm just curious, what value are you providing them? Because if your job, if your product is your service, they want your discernment and your perspective on this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not sharing that, you're the middleman to get them to Disney. Mm-hmm. And I do think that that's something that agents really struggle with. They want to give just the facts instead of their perspective because they're afraid of pissing anybody off. They're afraid of upsetting the apple cart and giving an opinion that one person over here won't like. And you can't build community with everyone liking you. It just doesn't work like that. And I don't mean it like you have to be ugly or like bad polarizing. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
But good marketing repels as many people as it attracts.
Yeah.
And that's okay And we have to start getting comfortable with that. And so when it comes to things like Mickey's Not So Scary, Rita, you messaged me that day because you were like, that, I literally thought of this. One of the things I said is like, say out loud, these are the families that I would not recommend go to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party.
Yeah.
If you can't go around pretending like it's for everybody because it's not.
Yeah.
And so talk about it.
That's what's gonna get like the heads turning like, what? I thought everybody
What?
goes to Not So Scary.
Why would an agent not recommend this? I need to read this. They
Right.
are going to want to respond to that. And yes, there's going to be people who may get in your comments, especially if it goes viral and say things. You'll be all right. I
Yeah.
promise. It's going to be
Yeah.
fine.
Kyla, what's your take on this person first content?
Yeah, I just think I actually had a supplier the other day say, I was kind of explaining more in detail what I do and how I work with advisors. And then she's like, so you're not like scared with like everything AI? And I said, no, not in
No.
the slightest, because the one thing that someone cannot replicate is your experiences, your face. So when advisors say like, oh, how do I stand out? I'm like, so you. And they're
Yeah.
like, well, I'm like, no, that is it. Your excitement for something, your emotion behind something, your experience with something, that is the most important. So when something, drops or something comes out, don't just rush to make the same graphic, right? Like,
Mhm.
think about how can you talk about something super organically. Maybe it's just your experience. You don't even have to talk about that the dates drop, that this is happening. Just talk about your experience there.
Yeah.
And one big thing that goes along with all of that is we all know around the time these things are happening. So
Mhm.
why stress ourselves out the morning it drops to the entire world trying to pull all this together? Instead, have, a general idea on your calendar. Start organically talking about Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party on your social media around the dates you think that all happens.
Yeah.
Because then you're the person that has been kind of creating a lot of content around it. The day it drops, your content's circulating, but you're not the same as everyone else. So maybe it's your experience. Maybe it's the best treats you had last year. Like Kelly said, the other idea of, who this isn't the right trip for. Things like that where, you get you in the content, but you're also not scrambling to get something out the morning it drops. Like that's the worst, right? You would think that we would get a little bit more advanced notice. We don't. And like Kelly said, it's just sometimes feels impossible to use, the brand graphics that we're given. And so use what we were given,
Yeah.
us and our voice. I think that is the most important thing that advisors need to do on social media.
Yeah, and to your point on that, I just shared a reel in my stories. Obviously, when this goes live, you're not going to be able to see it. I am not a sports person, but this was a reporter's reaction to the Knicks winning. I don't even know what the basketball game, the big basketball game. I don't even remember. And I was like, this is exactly why AI will never overtake. There was human emotion in there. Like you could feel the sentiment there. Like I'm not a sports person, but I'm like, I was rooting for, like, I felt just like such in community. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even know who you are, but I want to hug you because I'm so happy for you because your team finally won after all these years. And I'm like, AI could never, ever, ever replicate that. Moving on to something a little bit more tactical, I guess. There are some new rules, or at least how Meta is going to operate. And obviously, this is always going to fluctuate because one day they say A, then they say B. But I think a lot of what we've been talking about kind of fits naturally that you should not be violating or you should not like be afraid of this. The whole originality rules, the duplicate reels. So I know, Crystal, we had touch a little bit on this if you just want to go over this because I know this is like not a sexy side, but people should know what's going on.
Yes. My goodness, I don't even know what time it is. So a few months ago, I won't put a date on it, Meta did come out, out of Missouri came out and said that they have new originality rules. So basically, long story short, for us travel agents, what this means is that if you are taking a graphic from a supplier, from your host agency, and you're literally just taking it from the hub, putting it on Instagram, guess what? that's only going to reach your followers. You're not going to be able to reach new people, which your goal should be always you want to nurture your followers, but you also want to get more exposure, right? So, no more. And I'm honestly, I'm so grateful for this because when they're hideous, they don't work, they're ugly, they look billboards.
100.
Don't do it. Please stop. For the love of God, please stop. I'd
Yes.
rather you not post on social if you're posting that. So, anyway, what you could do if you really are in love with the information that is on that graphic, create it as your own in Canva. Or honestly, you know what, guys? Some of the best carousels right now, especially for like travel agents and like personal brands, whatever, are literally just like photos off your camera roll with the Instagram text. It does not have to be overly curated, overly designed. They actually do worse. The more off the cuffish your content is, the better it will probably perform. Again, experiment with it. So yeah, take that info if you really love it and just make it your own. Same goes for reels. Do not copy and paste a template. I mean, I personally, I give people hooks on my Instagram, but like make it your own. Put your personality in it. Put your niche in it. You have to stop copying and pasting word for word,
Hmm.
Yeah,
and you won't. Yeah,
sorry,
go ahead.
copy
No.
and pasting or letting it just go auto post. That's even worse. That's worse. Like, I don't know
Not a
how many people I
fan.
talk to that I'm like, before we speak, do you have any auto posters on? And they're like, and I'm like, hold that thought. We're turning it off. We're turning it off. But the thing that I told someone recently was, I understand, the thought process of, oh, this supplier gave me this graphic and this caption. It takes 2 seconds. Let me get it out there. Why do we then tell our audience to spend the time using us rather than the
Boom.
2 seconds
Oh,
on ChatGPT? So we need to take the time to give them the correct information, to give them meaningful information, because that's what we're asking of them. And they were like chills. And I was like, no, really,
we
we
need
can't
like
be the
noisemakers
easy way
here.
out. Yeah, right? Like, I was like, I just think that is the way we need to think about it. The easy way out isn't always the travel advisor, right? But so we need to give the same information, the same value and care into what we're providing our audience. And I was like, I'm going to use that one again.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
you're so right. Like that's exactly one of the things that I have said before, not in that way. And I love the way you just said that. It's very much like if all you're doing is reposting what the suppliers are doing, why do they need you? I actually
Mhm.
had a Royal Caribbean BDM on I was teaching an intensive on Royal Caribbean's Ovation last year. And um, one of their sales managers said to me, they were like, well, what do you think that we leave out of the content? And I said, the advisor. And he
Boom.
just looked at me and I was like, go open up a post. You'll say in the call to action, contact your travel advisor today. The rest of it has got nothing to do with an advisor, not a service, nothing. It's not there. You are marketing yourself out of a sale when you use their content because the only value of you, and I don't mean that in a limiting, the value of you is the service. If all you're promoting is the destination, they can go get that anywhere. And if you are promoting that, if you are promoting the destination as the win, you're marketing for them and they don't need your help. So
Mm-mm.
market for yourself.
Yeah, this gets me thinking of like one of the next trends coming up is that situational travel content is winning. And that also makes me think about because I know a lot of people are still doing the top 10 reasons why you should take a safari in Africa or in Southern Africa or why you should take an expedition cruise. And I'm like, that content doesn't really work anymore. The listicles, I feel like that's one of them that's out. And it's more putting your person into the storyline. That's really what's in now.
Yeah, I think you can use lists in certain ways. I don't think lists will ever go away because numbers click, but I think it's perspective driven. People
Mhm.
want to know your opinion on something. We can no longer sit on the fence and give them just the facts and just give them here's 5 restaurants you can possibly eat in Cancun. Like why are we doing that? Like,
Who
what does that have to
cares?
do with anything? Google's free. They can do that if they want to do that. But your opinion, perspective, and
Yeah.
discernment is what they want to hear. And that's what we want to hear from influencers too, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm buying underwear that some girl who kind of has a body type like mine says will be great for me. Why would I not want to listen to someone who's traveled, whose family looks like mine,
Yeah.
gives me their opinion on something? If
Sure.
I want to buy the anti-pooch underwear that such and such is out there giving me a link to, why would I'm spending $19 on that? Why would me dropping $9,000 on a
Right.
vacation not want to come from information and opinion on someone who looks like me, my family? I don't mean looks like me. I mean my family
Mhm,
dynamics
mhm.
are similar.
Right.
I mean that we travel the same, that maybe our budgets look the same, that they understand what I'm going through. We don't find it weird for them to recommend their skincare products to us. Why are we finding it weird for us to get an opinion from them on similar things for that?
Yeah, I call it the WIFM, the what's in it for me, because
Yep.
you can have the certain like parameters that we've been talking about, but if you're not like looping in your ideal person or maybe even like referral partners who would be really great for you, you've kind of like lost the whole point of the post here. I know we are like quickly wrapping up on time. So, as funsies, just a couple of closing questions. Is there any of these trends that we're kind of seeing that any of you think is like a temporary fade that by like the end of the year will be like, oh my gosh, remember when that was a thing? I'm thinking maybe like the term yapping, maybe we might call it a little bit different or but it'll still be relevant that talking to the camera.
I think also using or creating reels for the sake of creating reels. I think everyone's kind of gone into it must be a reel. Whereas I think now actually statics are doing okay. As we said, carousels can do almost better often.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, this everything must be video, hopefully, is going to fade out so that we kind of mix it up a bit more.
Yeah.
Agree with that. And I also think, I just think the continued decline of over polished content. And I do carousels and I love Canva because it's graphics for dummies and that is me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love that. But what performs well is a simple background with words on it. I don't need a bunch of clip art. I don't need a bunch of design. I just need words. And
Yeah.
I think that the complexity of the content is going to decline. The continued, more authentic, less overproduced content is going to continue to decline. And I just think that the big focus is, especially in a world of AI, people don't trust what looks to be too perfect.
Yeah.
And I think that that is just going to continue to be, I can't imagine that that changes.
Yeah.
I agree. Everything on this list, like the only thing I could think of is possibly the word yapping, but I love that word. I think it's so fun. And so I hope that sticks. But there's just so many things that when you look at the combined experience on this call, we probably all see these things as a breath of fresh air of like, oh, finally storytelling, finally, not overly done graphics, finally this, because it's what we want social media look like. It's what I want to consume more of. I
Right.
feel like when I come across a graphic that's too overdone or something like that, it immediately screams ad. It immediately screams AI. And there's a lot of consumers out there who do not trust, the consumer trust goes way down with overly AI, overly polished, overly that. So I think don't think of that as something scary as an advisor. Think of it as a breath of fresh air. We can finally get back to just not stressing ourselves over it all the time. One thing that I always teach is something sitting in your drafts or sitting in your brain drafts helps no one.
Mhm.
How are we going to help someone if it's sitting there? So instead of thinking, how can I help 1,000, a million people, think about one person. And so I think all of these things, I think they are not going away. And so that's a good thing to hop on, start trying, start listening to. Maybe you've heard it, right? You've come across one of our posts on social media or you heard it from someone. But let these voices solidify that this is all here to stay and that we're rooting for you. And this should make things simpler. I don't like the word easy because that's a level thing, but simpler and just that breath of fresh air. So just remember that and don't stress yourself out too much.
Yeah. This is all so amazing. Like, I am beaming. I'm like, and we didn't even touch on some of the things I just started thinking about. So we might have to do this like every 6 years, or 6 years, every 6 months instead of every year. To close out, I would love to know from everybody if 2026 had a word to describe where social media is heading, what is your word for that? Do, 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 do.
Authenticity. That's what I
Mm,
hope, that we
yeah.
just stick with being authentic, raw, real, as we've all spoken about. Ditch the AI, ditch the perfectionism, authenticity.
Yeah.
Feel
Connective.
like, yeah. Oh,
Sorry,
perfect. No, you're fine.
connective. I find like I've had a few people come up to me when we were at Universal and when I was at Las Vegas for the travel agent forum and they're like, Kelly, and they like hug me and I it takes me a minute to know their face or I need a handle to go along with it because they think they know me, right? And the connection in the community, I think is should be the goal. Like
Yeah.
sales are a byproduct of
Yes.
that. If you actually
Yeah.
connect with people, and that's why these things were started in the first place, is to build connection. And I really do think that that should be the goal. And I think that that's where it's going with the authenticity. I think in order to have connection, you have to have the authenticity. So my word would be connective.
Yeah, Crystal.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we're all on the same page again. Human. Again, just like kind of taking off that mask and just being you, being off the cuff. Like I know it's terrifying to put yourself out there, um, to talk on camera, to share, personal things and stories. Again, you don't have to share your diary, but just like letting people into your world to build those connections. And then honestly, I can't believe I'm saying this about Instagram, but I feel like it's been a little bit more like reassuring lately when I see like like the Q&As that Missouri does lately. Excuse me, because I feel like there's more of an emphasis of like you don't have to show up 5, 7 days a week.
Yes.
Like he's actively saying, you just find your rhythm and kind of stick to it, and we will put your content out there. And like realize that the algorithm isn't against you. If you are, inserting keywords, if you are showing up consistently, whatever that looks like for you, um, and just finding your groove, you're going to do well. And there's way less pressure, again, to like I don't know, to be polished, to have everything travel related. Like again, just start to have fun on Instagram.
Yeah. Kyla, what's your word?
I totally agree. And when Adam, the head of Instagram, posts a story, I have a little notification and I'm like, oh, thank goodness, because he just solidifies everything that's out there or
He's the
debunks
best.
myths.
Yeah.
And it's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
I'll hyphenate my word, I guess, community driven.
Mhm.
And I just really, that is what I have been trying to drill in people's heads because advisors come, they want 10,000 followers, they want this, they want this. I'm like, okay, we can work with that, but you didn't mention emotion. Sales have to be in it at the end of the day, right? We want sales, of course, but none of that came from that. So let's focus on a small, actually community driven following or Facebook group. I would much rather 500 followers who are all in there every single day talking than 5,000 that never interact. And I think that has to be the goal. And it just releases ourselves from this, I hate the word viral and all of that isn't
Yeah.
what we should be chasing, right?
Yeah.
Like that's not it anymore. So community driven would be my word.
Yeah.
Kyla, I love that you brought that up and I will hush, but I did go viral a few years ago, it was in the early, I don't know, 2021, I think. And I woke up with a reel that had that brought me it's I don't know, it's sitting close to 1 million views now, but the follower count went crazy. Like I think it was something like 18,000 followers from that reel. And I was doing social media management at that point. It brought me $0 in sales. Zero. Okay. So like
Yeah.
it was and I have spent years trying to get my engagement rate back to what I want it to be because those people didn't care what I was talking about and they just
Hmm.
hit the follow button. And so I have a really engaged community now and things do great, but it took me years to what I want to say is recover from that viral reel because my engagement took a hit because those people didn't care. And I try to tell people that all the time because they look at my follower count and they're like, and I'm like, no, I had one lucky reel. That was it. Like, I feel like I do a good job, but I'm not some pro. I'm doing my best, and you're learning from my failing. And so I want people to understand I'm really glad you brought that up because that to me is so important for people to stop chasing those vanity metrics. For
Yeah,
sure.
there's two words that kind of come up for me, and I think it's because we've all been friendly, and I would also like categorize as friends now, especially having gone through this panel, is friends is definitely one of my words when I associate social media, and then also opportunity because I feel like Kelly and Crystal, I followed you from somewhere on social media. Wendy, you were referred to me by a mutual friend that we have in the industry, Roz, who connected us and we got a Zoom call and then obviously followed each other. And then Kyla, we were on a virtual summit together, and that's how we connected. So I'm like, I feel like this is just a beautiful like story. Like it's not somebody else mentioned, it doesn't have to be a sale. There's so many like collaborative opportunities and referral opportunities with social media. So also keeping that open and available and not like putting so much pressure. Like if I don't make a sale on social media, the world's gonna end because it's not, because there's so many different outcomes that are definitely wins. Well, this was an amazing panel. I know we went a little bit over, so thanks everybody for sticking with us. Any last words before we jump off of this social media celebration?
Just
Oh,
keep going. We
yes.
all, that is the biggest thing. It is not an overnight thing. It is not social media is here to stay. Keep going, and we're all rooting you on.
Yeah.
Literally, like that is the biggest thing. Just keep it going. It's a slow, slow burn on social media sometimes.
I
100%.
I'll give my number one tip for going viral if that's really your goal. There's only one surefire way. This is if you hear anybody else tell you they can make you go viral, they're wrong. This is the one surefire way. You got to post.
Yep. True.
Love
I was
it.
like, mic drop with that. That's accurate. Well, Wendy, Kyla, Kelly, and Crystal, thank you so much for joining me today. Travel advisors, I hope you've had as much fun as we have, like really like getting into all the emotions of social media. Definitely including everybody's contact information. So if somebody like really resonated or if you loved all of us, make sure that you give us all a follow, reach out if you just want to say like, I really love what you said about this, that really, we love when we hear from you. And also, you never know what kind of ideas or collaboration happen in the future. So thank you so much again. Have an amazing, by the time this comes off, it's the end of June, beginning of July, beginning of quarter 3, which is nuts to think, but that is still 6 more months of opportunity left in 2026. So we will see you all very, very soon, everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining me on the podcast today. Remember to check out the show notes for all relevant links and resources from today's show. See you next time.